Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being on our webinar today. My name is Amanda Leach. I am the Assistant Director for Career and Networking Programs here at JMU. I'm a proud 2009 grad of the university. Today's webinar is brought to you by the JMU Alumni Association. We are excited to bring you this new alumni webinar program with the goal of providing career-related resources that help you develop your professional self. We have alumni participating from all over the country, and I want to say thank you for logging on. Your feedback means a lot to us, especially with a new program. You will receive a follow-up survey after the webinar. Please take the time to give us feedback so we can improve this new program. Before I introduce today's presenter, I want to make some brief housekeeping notes. If you are participating live, know that your microphones have already been muted. Questions that you have for the presenter can be directed to the Q&A section. If you're having technical difficulties, please use the chat function to chat with me directly. I am the host, Amanda Leach, so please be sure to include me in your questions. If you do have technical difficulties that don't get resolved, know that the webinar will be recorded and can be accessed online 1 week from today. Please feel free to tweet live during the event. You can see our hashtag on the screen. It's hashtag JMUAAwebinar. And then if you would please @HbergCC, that is Kyle's professional handle that she uses for her business. And it is my pleasure to now introduce our presenter. Her name is Kyle Laver, and she is joining us from just down the road here in Harrisonburg. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's in counseling, and an educational specialist degree, all from JMU. She has worked as a career coach for Blue Ridge Community College in 3 local high schools. She's also worked to establish the Career Coach program in Rockingham County. 2 of her 5 years as a career coach, she was the Regional Career Coach Supervisor for the West Central region of Virginia. Kyle has presented at the National Career Pathways Network Conference in 2012, and the Virginia Career Coach Academy from 2009 to 2012. She is now the owner of Harrisonburg Career Coaching, where she provides career coaching services to the local community as well as remotely to clients all across the United States. Kyle, take the floor.
All right, thank you so much. I hope everybody can hear me okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Awesome. Thank you, Amanda, so much for just your excitement and creativity regarding alumni career services. I know this is a brand new venture for us all, and so thank you for all that you're doing. Also, a big thank you to Ashley Privet, who's the Director of Alumni, just for her leadership and willingness to support alumni through all stages of life, through all these innovative programs. So please give them feedback and let them know kind of how this is working for you all too out there. And also, of course, to the JMU Alumni Office for their tireless work. I know there's a lot of great people there. They're doing great work to try to provide services to alumni out there. So thank you all so much for tuning in today. I wish I could see all of your faces, but I hope that one day we will meet. So thank you again very much for being on the webinar. So as Amanda said, I'm Kyle Laver, formerly Kyle Larrabee in my undergrad years, or possibly the only female Kyle that you've ever met. There's a couple of us out there, but as a child growing up, I'm the second oldest of 5 kids and definitely have the most unique of names in my family. I grew up in an Army family where we moved every 2 years to amazing places like Germany, Korea, Panama. We lived in Hampton Roads, specifically Newport News and Poquoson. Richmond, Kansas, and I ended up my high school career in Northern Virginia. Now I've lived in Harrisonburg longer than anywhere else in my life. And I really chose JMU, and which brought me here to Harrisonburg, because of the people. And that's something that we're going to be talking about a lot today, is JMU is an amazing place because of the people and the people that are there. And I hope that you all had a very similar experience. I'm excited by change and being challenged, and that is what we're going to talk about today, continuing to be the change when life has gotten a hold of you. So thanks so much again for tuning in. Just to give you a brief kind of overview of my career path. This is always my favorite part when I hear listen to webinars, and is learning about what people do for a living and how they got there. So very quickly, just my career path, as Amanda said, I went to JMU undergrad with a psychology major, was an HRD minor, human resource development, and really got that minor thinking that it was going to help me get a job. I'm the only person in my family not in the military, so I knew I had to figure out which type of job I was going to get, and I needed to get it so I didn't have to move home with mom and dad. So I started my career after undergrad and worked in nonprofits in this local area in Harrisonburg, actually, for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And then I also worked for another nonprofit called the Office on Children and Youth at JMU as well as I was going through grad school. So I had a lot of nonprofit years, which I learned a lot and had great mentors. And then after grad school, I worked for the school system for about 4 years. But I felt very stuck and powerless to the struggles that children faced in the school systems. And I really didn't work in that box that well. I loved the people, I loved the teachers, loved the children, but just really felt like there was more I needed to do. And I really found a sense of hope in careers. And I became a career coach and did that for 5 years in the local high schools. And then I really saw the need in working with all ages and stages of life, and really realizing that when you graduate, it's not that life is over. You have to keep working and keep developing and keep changing, and it's so important to have someone to talk to kind of work through all of those aspects of your career and life, to have that career purpose living, that sense of balance. So also opening my practice allowed us, my husband and I, who's also an entrepreneur, to start to be able to adopt our youngest 2 children through the foster care system. We really wanted to do that, really believed in becoming foster parents and adopting. And now we have 4 busy kids, 8, 6, 3.5, and 2. And my career is an amazing outlet for me because it gives me a lot of fulfillment and excitement every day. And I believe that everyone can have a career that they love. So even with 4 kids, it's a great way to just be able to leave all of them behind at home with a wonderful nanny from JMU and be able to go to work and really work with people who I feel so honored to work with, and to provide support and help with them in their careers. So just to kind of give you an idea of what type of work I do as a career coach, because I know career coaching is a very new field, and I know there's a lot of people who mistake life coaching and career coaching as the same, and some of them do both. Some people are life coaches and career coaches. Some people think of career coaching as headhunters. I will say that is not what we do at all. What I do as a career coach is I really help people find direction. I really help them find a sense of balance. As I'm talking, I'm sorry, I need to get water in between so you can hear me. So it's really important to understand that we don't live in a vacuum. We can't just do our career and then live our life at home, and they don't coincide or go together. They do. It's a constant balancing act. So the type of clients that I work with, I try to give you an example of some of the things I do. I work with people who are a jack of all trades, people who are really good at a lot of things, and really have a hard time marketing themselves for a particular area because they have so many balls in the air, they have so many things going on, they're juggling all the time that they really don't know what they're best at because they're really good at a lot of things. So I really help them figure out what they like the most about things they can do well and what they want to pursue, because we don't have an unlimited amount of time or energy. So to really help them find a sense of focus and clarity. Also, I work with people who are at a fork in the road. Maybe they've been at a job for 20, 25 years and they're deciding that they want to start a new venture, and so they need to talk to somebody who can help them plan that out. So helping them trying to really figure out what decisions to make and how to do this in the best way possible. Or also I work with people who are getting huge promotions and deciding if it's really where they want to go, because I know that the promotion might mean that they're going to be away from their family more, or that they will have to move or make some huge life decisions too. So, and then lastly, I work with people who have really lost their way. Either they've lost a job, they've had a sudden change in their life. So maybe they've lost a job, they've lost a loved one, maybe they've battled cancer, and they really have lost a sense of confidence in themselves, and they don't really know what they're good at, and they feel like the world's just spinning and they need help figuring out what that is. So So lots of different types of things I work with. Of course, I help with resumes and cover letters and even web design for people who want to start their own ventures. We have kind of a marketing area where we can help people market for themselves. So we do all of those things, but the most important part of what I do as a career coach is really helping people know themselves well. Taking the time, taking a deep breath to be able to say, what do I want out of life? And what does it mean for me to want something out of life? So just to kind of give you an idea of what I do as a career coach, I use, of course, my counseling skills, but it's very directive and helping people, and it's a collaborative relationship, and of course, completely confidential as well. So I hope that helps kind of explaining what I do and my background. If you have any questions about any of that I talked about, of course, feel free to send me questions, emails. I love to hear from you. So we're going to get started here. I love this slide just because it's on the JMU Alumni page, but it really helped me when I was trying to get my thoughts together with what to talk to you all about today. And just that idea that we are a JMU Nation, that we have amazing people throughout the United States that are making a difference in their local communities, and that we all have had a similar experience. We have all delved into the JMU way and the JMU mission, and now we're out there in the world making a difference. So it was so cool to see this map and see us all out there, and also realize that we all have had similar experiences at JMU and can relate in many ways to what it means to bleed purple. So one of the things I always think about as a JMU student, and I thought of this when I first visited, the very first weekend I came, was I was amazed by how JMU students open doors for one another, that you never are left behind. If someone's in front of you, they always leave the door, they always open the door for you, they always help you through the doorways, whether you're walking through Wilson Hall or you're going through Carrier Library. If you've been into the new Performing Arts Center, which is incredible, anywhere you are on campus, people are constantly opening doors for you. And I think that just that act alone, the idea of passing it forward, helping people in any way we can, whether it's just a smile or just a kind, let me help you with something, by opening the door for someone else, it's a big part of being a Duke. So that was just this picture. I know all of you listening out there might be all across the United States, and it's very excited to see that we're all connected in that way. So what makes you a Duke? I, of course, won't read all these to you, but it's neat. I polled a whole bunch of people who are either clients or friends or colleagues, people in the area, outside the area, to find out what words really connected with them with what makes you a Duke, what personality traits make you a Duke. And you can see the courteous, the considerate, open-minded, adventurous, inquisitive, fearless, easygoing. And the one that really sticks out for me, and I think that's something I always carried with me, is the community-minded, the idea of servitude. And I think that's something that a lot of alumni might not even know about, is how successful JMU has been at providing opportunities for students to be community-minded and to get involved in the community. Community service learning at JMU, they had their very first alternative spring break trip in the year of 1993. And they helped clean up from Hurricane Andrew in Homestead, Florida. And that actually was a collaborative venture with Catholic Campus Ministry, as well as a church downtown Harrisonburg as well. So it was two churches as well as, of course, the campus. They went on their very first trip in the spring of 1993. Last year, there is a total of 44 break trips. So we went from 1 to 44 in 22 years. And with over 562 students and faculty and staff serving, with over 12,540 hours of service. So JMU And also JMU has been awarded the Alternative Break Program of the Year by Breakaway, and currently JMU is the only school to be named Program of the Year twice. So it's such a huge integral part of, and there's so many more statistics out there with how much community service we do throughout the Harrisonburg community and throughout the state and out throughout the United States for that matter. But this just gives you an idea of this is all volunteer-based. No one's required to do this. People just do it because they love it. And this is just through JMU's community service learning. There's also other programs like Catholic Campus Ministry and other programs like Young Life that do service trips as well. So this is just on JMU's campus. So it just gives you an idea of the actual magnitude that the community-minded idea and the servitude is a huge part of what it means to be a Duke. So do you still feel the power of the JMU experience with a clear sense of purpose now that you've graduated? So we talked about that spirit, the idea that we are very much community-minded. We want to open the door for the person behind you and really acknowledge people wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And that's really what it means to be a Duke. So if you graduated 2, 10, 20 years ago, do you still feel the JMU spirit in your life? So when do you know when you're stuck and you need change? So Americans work an average of 45 hours a week, which is 38% of their total week. And this source is from the National Sleep Foundation. But I've found talking to individuals that really and truly, they might be working 45 hours physically at their job, but they're really mentally and also with our ability to be connected all the time through our email and our cell phones or smartphones, which have made our lives a lot easier. They've also made work something you can do 24/7. So with that said, I would say that probably it's more like 50% of your total week is spent on your career. And that's really based on, of course, which career you're in and what you're doing and all of that, what field you're in. But it is a big part of your life. And so if you think about it, if you're spending that much amount of time of your life at work, do you find yourself saying, I only have 5 more years till I can retire, or I'm just looking forward to the weekend? Are you actually thinking of that a lot more than you used to? So how can you change it around? How can you once again be the change that you once believed so strongly? And I really truly believe it's by spending that time that you're at work doing meaningful work that you really enjoy and that you have a passion and sense of purpose for. So how do we do that? Sounds very easy, but so as we know, be the change is JMU's motto, and it has been for a very long time. And it's that idea that we can make a difference. As JMU grads, we have that instilled in us that we can make a difference in the world by knowing who we are and having a sense of purpose and living it out every day. So how do we assess it? How do we figure out what it is if we've lost it? So this is a wonderful quote. It says, "The world hates change. It is the only thing that has brought progress." So for a lot of people, I know all of you that are in the working world, that the word change or we're going to tweak something makes everybody very, very anxious in the workforce. So it's a dreaded 6-letter word for many people. And it can cause a lot of anxiety and unnecessary stress, and just people can just get really uncomfortable and upset about it. And I would say that change is definitely not easy. But the more you do it and the more you get comfortable with who you are and knowing yourself and how you process things, then the easier it gets. So we're going to talk about 6 different areas of change that are really important to look at for yourself and really figure out kind of where you are to help you better decide and better start, moving in that direction to be able to make a change and make a difference in your life. The first word is culture. Second is hustle. Third is affirmation. Fourth is network. fifth is gratitude, and lastly, engage. So we're going to be going over each one of these different letters individually and giving examples and talking about different aspects of them. And of course, as you're listening, and if you have any questions, and write some notes down and make sure to email or send a message to Amanda, and she will be listening in and getting all your questions as we go. So let's start with culture. So we have this beautiful chameleon, and how I view culture is find the perfect grain or become a chameleon. So culture is a huge part of how we relate and work. So you think about your environment at work, and I love to use this metaphor. So if you imagine that your environment at work is like a piece of sandpaper. And if that's a great grain of sandpaper, if it's nice and if it's a real fine grit of sandpaper, if you rubbed your hand across that piece of sandpaper, it would look almost exfoliated after time. If it was a great grain, it was a great fit, it actually would really bring out the best in you. So you think about your hand as your personality, and that sandpaper as the environment. And if it's a great grain, then it's a great fit. But if that sandpaper has maybe a couple nails in it, if it's a really rough grain, and you're rubbing your hand over that environment every day, over time you're going to have wear and tear on your hand. You're going to have some cuts. You're going to really feel it. You're going to feel pretty awful. And over time, a culture that is negative or is toxic can really cause serious damage to you as a person. It can cause physical effects such as anxiety, depression, lack of confidence, weight gain or weight loss, and a variety of ailments. And so it's really important to know what that culture looks like and be aware of what that culture looks like, and also who you are in that culture. So some of the signs of a toxic environment, that really rough grain of sandpaper, some of the signs that maybe to look for is bullying. It happens in the workplace quite a bit, where people are treated poorly and put down and made to feel that they're not important. And it not only happens in school when you're a young kid, but it happens as an adult as well. And then also micromanaging, where if you have a leader who really doesn't trust you or doesn't perceive to trust you and is constantly looking over your shoulder and correcting you all the time, then that is definitely something that can cause a lot of stress and unneeded anxiety. So you have this environment, and so I showed you this beautiful picture of the chameleon because there are people who are amazing at becoming chameleons. I have a really good friend who I was talking to him about his work environment, and I said, "You must love what you do." And he said, "Not really." I said, "Do you like your office?" And he said, "Not really." I'm like, "How do you do it?" And he's like, "I just have learned to kind of use it, like play it like a game." I realized that it is a game in many ways, and I know certain people who I have to act a certain way with, and I've learned to adapt. And so some people are really amazing at being chameleons, and they know themselves well enough to know how they need to adapt to that environment. So the decision becomes really, if the culture is not a good fit, you either have to become a chameleon and aggressively figure out how to adapt, or you have to choose a different culture. You need to find a place that really gives you a better sense of self and a more positive environment for you. So questions to ask yourself: how do I contribute to the culture? Meaning at the water cooler or getting coffee, are you adding to the culture in a positive way or a negative way? And what needs to change? Do you need to change, or do you need to change the environment you're a part of? So if you want more examples of toxic environments, I'd be happy to share, but those are just some. All right, the next letter is hustle. All right, so when you think of hustle is used a lot, of course, in sports. When we were watching the JMU homecoming game, I heard that word a couple times. You got to get down the field, and they're really hustling. But what does it mean when it comes to work and career? And hustle is really about the right amount of challenge in your life. So everybody is different in this way, but It's the idea of the Goldilocks phenomenon, which actually I'm stealing this from a source that I'll tell you about in the end of the book. But Daniel Pink wrote a great book called Drive, and it's all about motivation. And he talks about the Goldilocks phenomenon, which is that you want to make sure that you have just the right amount of challenge in your life. So you don't want to be bored, of course, that low amount of challenge. You don't want to be comfortable necessarily, because comfort after a while can get boring and get really routine. But then at the same time, you don't want to be stressed all the time and feel like you're out of your comfort zone all the time, where you don't feel like you're good at anything because you're constantly being challenged. So it's the right amount of challenge, which is really between the comfortable and the crazy, hectic, challenged all the time. So being able to be on the upper end of that, actually, because when we are really challenged in our job, then we actually use our problem-solving skills. We learn to adapt. We really use our brain, and it really allows us to hustle in a positive way to really make a difference. So this is the idea of just the professional growth. Being able to have enough professional growth in your job and feel like you're being challenged and really being utilized for your skills. So questions to ask yourself. Am I a cog or the wheel? So are you just kind of along for the ride, or are you really one that feel like you're making a difference? Or are you trying to make a difference and it's not going anywhere? And do you feel invigorated by your work that you do? So every day when you leave your job, you might be totally whipped and exhausted, but do you feel like you really made a difference in the work that you did? So that's a good question to ask yourself. Affirmation for A. So for any of you Saturday Night Live fans out there, the word affirmation always makes me laugh because it reminds me of Stuart Smalley, who says, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. So I've always that word always seemed funny to me, but it is actually a really important word, because it's something that you tell yourself day in and day out that really makes the difference. And so don't think of it as Stuart Smalley's way of doing things. Really think of it as, what do you surround yourself with, or what do you tell yourself every day that affirms the person that you are? So if you think about it, every company has a mission statement. And when they're in a meeting, they're always referring back to that mission statement. And is that really what we want to do? Is that really who we are? Is it really in agreement with our mission statement? Or people, or every company also has a brand. Like, they brand themselves based on what they're good at doing, and you know a product based on its brand. And I don't, I'm not trying to tell you to go out and go find your mission statement, because I've definitely done this, where I've made a mission statement for myself, and I do not read it. Because it's not really me. But I know for some people it is them, and writing a mission statement, an actual mission statement, would be really, really good for them. But what I really want you to think about for yourself is, what do you affirm yourself with every day? Do you tell yourself, I am good at what I do, I love what I do, I love working with people, I love making a difference by being able to, you can fill in the blanks. What do you tell yourself every day? Or do you tell yourself, I'm never going to get ahead in this company because I don't have so-and-so's personality, or I'm never going to do this, or I'm never going to do that? Or are you saying, yes, I'm going to make it happen, and you're telling yourself the things you're going to make it to do in your life? They say that it's actually more important to tell yourself who you want to be than to tell yourself who you are right now. So if you want to be a public speaker, if you want to be a comedian, then you actually say it. You say, one day I'm going to be a comedian. I am a comedian. I do this. Even though you don't do it professionally, you're still making it a part of who you are, and you become who you want to be. That makes sense. So some of the things to think about for a mission statement, and this is a very casual idea of a mission statement, but I think it's really important, is don't overthink it. Think about songs or phrases or lyrics or quotes that mean a lot to you. Mine would be my very favorite song, and when I'm having a rough day, like one of the songs I play for myself is Shower the People by James Taylor. James Taylor's my very favorite, got to give him a shout out. But Shower the People is like my very favorite song, and the lyrics to that just make me think about how important it is to love people and to shower them with love, and that's all that matters. And then a quote that I love and that I say a lot to myself is, what you are is a gift from God, and what you become is your gift to Him. So that idea of constantly striving to be the best person you can be is super important for me. So think about yourself. Think about things that mean a lot to you, whether it's a song, whether it's a quote from someone that you really like, whether it's a scripture that you have found really meaningful to you, all of those things. Write those down, and that can be your mission statement. You don't have to overthink it, but at the same point, it is important to know yourself well enough and to be able to affirm yourself every day. So really quickly, questions to ask yourself. What's your inner dialogue? Are you pulling yourself down every day with what you tell yourself, or are you lifting yourself up? And does it reflect the person you are and who you want to become? Really and truly, who do you want to become? Because that's what you need to be telling yourself. Network. So a big part of affirmation too is, who do you surround yourself with? Who is around you? Who gives you encouragement and support? And sometimes you only need one or two people in your life to really do that for you. So your circle of influence, who influence you on a regular basis? So this is really important professionally as well as personally, because if you think about yourself, professionally and personally actually kind of go together, especially in a small town like Harrisonburg. Your professional personality and your personal personality are going to collide in many ways. And so you really need to be authentic and genuine in every aspect of that. So when you're thinking about who you surround yourself with, thinking about the common qualities that you share with the people that you surround yourself with, and also how do you let your circle know when you need support or help as well, and how are you there for them when they need support and help as well. So one of the things to think about is, I know this statistic you probably have heard of many times, but 80% of jobs are never listed. So because of that, you know, sometimes this makes people really frustrated that 80% of jobs are never listed. But it's important to know that referrals, company referrals, account for 40% of all hires. So if you know somebody who works for a company that you believe in or think is a neat company that you would love to be a part of, talking to that person and letting them know what your skills are, who you are as a person, can go a long way. So really connecting with your network provides opportunities that you alone will never get. So really being authentic, being genuine and positive, and this also goes for social media. And of course it goes for social media because often we're spending a lot of time on social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, your Twitter account, if you are a different person on those than you are in person, then that's a real problem. And as you all know, when you're hiring somebody, you're looking at every aspect of who they are. So you're looking at social media and you're looking at what they're putting out there in the world. So, and you want to make sure that they are congruent in many ways. So, and think about it, is your network, your circle of influence, are they challenging you professionally, spiritually, physically? And if they're not doing that, then really thinking about kind of who to kind of focus on and who to kind of let go in some ways. So what questions to ask yourself: what are the common qualities of your circle? And do these qualities line up with my core values? So really thinking about what they bring, and are they helping you? Okay, so network is huge, and I know some of you who are more introverted than extroverted, even out there, you know, it's still incredibly important to network with people and do it in the way that's most comfortable for you. But it is incredibly important. All right, next one is gratitude. Cultivate it. It might just make you happier and healthier. So when you think about gratitude, got a lot of publicity when Oprah had her show, and people talked a lot about gratitude journals and the importance of them and why you do them. But there's been a ton of studies done on gratitude and how gratitude really can make a difference in a person's health and their well-being. Harvard has done tons of studies. As I was looking through just statistics and things, of just tons of studies to do with gratitude and how it really does relate to a person being healthier, overall healthier and happier in doing their job and regular life situations and doing the mundane. They are much happier when they have gratitude. So a couple things to talk about with this. Another idea that I want to make sure to address is that some people say, you know, I'd love to have gratitude, but there's just a lot of obstacles in my life, and I've faced some really hard adversities, and I really can't get over them. So Hal Elrod, who is a very amazing motivational speaker and writer, he wrote a book called Miracle Morning, and I'll give you the information for that at the end of the slideshow as well, presentation. He talked about the 5-minute rule, and the 5-minute rule it's a rule for marketing and sales, but I think it relates to everything in life. When you're a salesman and you're doing a lot of telemarketing and calls, you can be treated really horribly, and some days probably much more than others. But it's really important to address your feelings. It's incredibly important. So if anything happens in your life that's, you know, you have to deal with adversity, you know, you need to give it 5 minutes. So literally the idea is the 5-minute rule is you set your timer for 5 minutes and you just gripe about it for 5 minutes. Talk to a friend that doesn't mind listening, hearing you gripe and complain on and on for 5 minutes, but give it its due. Like really, whether you're a writer and it feels better to write it out, whether you're a talker and you just need to spew just how much frustrated you are, give it 5 minutes and then you have to let it rest. You got to let it go. And you either let it go by, you know, burning that letter that you wrote, or letting it go by just saying, you know, I can't do anything about this. What can I change? You have to address it in order to be grateful, but only give it 5 minutes, because if you give it more than that, it'll rule your life. It will absolutely rule your life. And it will make you not able to have gratitude in the world. So some ideas of things you can do to have more gratitude, and these are things maybe that you could put into your life more regularly based on, you know, your life situation, but writing thank you notes. I know we've kind of gone away from writing thank you notes, but thank you notes or thank you emails, just thanking somebody for what they do in your life brings you more gratitude as well. Thanking someone in person or even mentally, if you're not an extrovert and you don't really want to tell somebody, you know, who made your coffee, the Starbucks woman or gentleman, thank you so much for making me coffee every day. You're fantastic. I'm a total cheeseball. I would do that. But if you don't feel like you can do it, just mentally say it in your head, because really it's for you. Being able to just be grateful for that person in front of you is really important. Meditating, praying, having a gratitude journal, counting your blessings, any of those things are great ways to just cultivate more gratitude. So questions to ask yourself: what are ways that I find gratitude in my everyday life? And is there a daily routine that can cultivate gratitude in my life? Routine is really key. Having something you do regularly will really help with all of these different areas and aspects. And the sixth one, engage. And this is what it really means to be a JMU Duke, is to engage, to live out your life in person by getting involved. Woody Allen said, he was quoted by saying, 80% of success is just showing up. And very true. Sometimes it's just being there, being physically there, and being able to be in a situation where you can get involved if you feel so compelled and excited to get involved is what it's about. But what I say about live out your life in person by getting involved, it's estimated that average Americans spend 70% of their waking life in front of digital media. So it's very easy for us to hide. It's very easy for us to be on our Facebook page or in our LinkedIn account or doing other digital media things, even for a job where we can kind of hide and not kind of engage in the world. So, and being the change and being a JMU Duke and having that sense of spirit means to engage. It's so important to know what you're passionate about and find ways to engage in the world by the work that you do. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever you feel like you used to do that you don't do anymore and you would love to do again in your life, do it. Whether you're a great painter at one point, or you enjoyed just painting, or you enjoyed drawing, or you used to play the guitar. Find a way to engage with that again and bring it to life. If you love people and love in teaching or educating or reading, you know, get involved in a book club or get involved and go volunteer in school. There are always people out there that need you and that will need you to get involved. We have great opportunities at JMU if you want to get back connected into the alumni and just meet other JMU grads that have a similar interest. I know there's been a spark throughout the United States of JMU grads that have wanted to go on spring break trips or summer break trips. And I think once our kids get older, we would love to do this, is to go on an alternative summer break trip with our kids. And that's something that was then sparked by alumni talking about it and then making it happen as adults. But we have alumni chapters throughout the United States that in different regions of the United States that you can get involved in. There's also a LinkedIn page for JMU alums that we can help other JMU alums. And I'll say that not much has changed. That we went to an event a couple months ago for the Center of Entrepreneurship. It was actually last year, I shouldn't say a month ago. Time flies. And we met a couple of JMU recent grads or going to be graduating, they're seniors, and it was so inspiring to hear them talk and to just learn about what they're doing. And really, you got a lot of energy by just being around them. So not only will it help them to know what it's like to be in the working world, but it really helps, you know, of course, us see the excitement and just the ideas that are flowing out of them and how it can bring a lot of life to our lives. So questions to ask yourself. What brings you joy? Simply, what brings you joy? And how can you incorporate these things in a small or large way? And it could be a small daily thing. It doesn't have to be huge. Some people can do huge things. Some people don't have the time or energy or ability to, and that's okay. We all have to do it our way. So just kind of an overview of what we talked about. Culture, again. Does your environment complement your personality? Is it the right grain? Like we talked about the sandpaper, is it the right grain for you? Hustle. Are you challenged in your everyday life and feel the need to hustle to get it all done? Affirmation. Do you have a personal mission statement? And what do you stand for? So again, don't make it too complicated. If it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do a huge personal mission statement, but think about what songs, what lyrics, what scripture, what means a lot to you. Network. Is your circle that of support and a healthy challenge for you? Gratitude. Just the ability to be thankful for the little things in life and overlooking the negative. And can you implement the 5-minute rule? And engage, being an active participant in your life. So these are just some inspirational additions that I talked about kind of throughout my presentation today. But if you need motivation, Drive by Daniel Pink's a great a great book. It's fascinating. If you like psychology too, it's fascinating too. Also A Plan, The Miracle Morning, talk about routine, developing routines in your life that really can make a difference and really start your day off great. If you feel like you're really stuck and you're like, I don't even know where to begin, this is a great book to start that process. Just ideas in general for different careers. I love this podcast. It's called How Did You Get Into That? By Grant Baldwin, and it is phenomenal. You can learn about how to own your own food truck business, how to become a Lego master builder, all kinds of cool jobs, and really learn about people's stories. And of course, that's what I love. So, and then A Purposeful Career. The Muse website is amazing at giving you tips and ideas. And if you subscribe to it, they send you an email like multiple times a day. I can never read all the emails they send me, but it's great information and just inspiring stuff. So just some things for your list. And just wanted to thank you all so much for listening in today and being a part of the webinar. Please give Amanda feedback, give me feedback, please. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And also, if I can help you in any way, I mean, I wanted to tell you more about what career coaches do in general. So in your local area, if you have a career coach you know of or have one that you feel like you can talk to, it is a great way to just work on who you are and what you need in life. But if I can help you in any way, please let me know. And if you mention this webinar, when you email or call me, you'll receive 50% off your initial consultation. So it'll be very, very inexpensive to come talk to me and just kind of get some ideas and get things moving in the direction towards change for you. So again, thank you all so much. And I think now we're opening it up to questions and answers.
Yeah, Kyle, that was really wonderful. Thank you so much for putting together this presentation today. I think no matter where you are in your career, I think many of us have felt that feeling of being stuck, and this concept of putting together a change and things that we can control, I think is really helpful. I love the analogy of the sandpaper and the fit. I love the 5-minute rule. I think lots of good things in there. So if you do have a question, feel free to use your question and answer area on the screen to send that in. Please keep them short. If there are multiple sentences, they're a little hard to get through. But we did have one from Kathy Sarver. She's a 2003 grad. And she was really interested in this idea of writing a good mission statement. And I know that you said not to overthink it and not to, make it something that's really there's a lot of anxiety behind. But what are some good resources if you do want to write kind of a good, meaningful mission statement?
That's a great question. The Muse, which I mentioned before, the Muse website, you can actually go right on their website and search mission statement, and also branding. People are calling it branding now more so than mission statement because probably it's too formal. But you can definitely go on their website and search for articles and ways of doing that. There are great templates out there that will actually kind of help you walk through how to write a personal mission statement. And it's all free. The internet's amazing. So those are just some areas to do. I mean, seriously, if you just Google template to create a mission statement, you will find 10,000 different ideas of how to do that if you want more of a formal mission statement. But again, if you're feeling like, I don't want a formal mission statement, I just want ideas on how to know more about myself and what I believe in, what I stand for, those are some of the other ideas I came up with to just kind of think about things that mean a lot to you, kind of put them all on paper, and find a way to put them around your life, like put them on your mirror, put them on your dashboard of your car, put them in a journal that you write in so that you can see them and go to them to find them to remind yourself. Your phone, of course, is always a great source to keep the things so.
Yeah, that's great. I think, too, the idea of putting it somewhere that you see it every day, that's good. We had a question come in from David, and his question is, how do you recommend a spouse or partner help their significant other when they're in a professional transition or different stages of their career? So how do you, when you are kind of on the other side of that and you're seeing someone go through that, how do you, what are some strategies for helping with that?
That's a great question. Thank you, David, for asking that. I think all of us are dealing with that in many ways. We can really make change happen for ourselves, but really can't make it happen for our loved ones. And so really just being as supportive as you possibly can be, and really helping them to find resources out there and encouraging them to talk to somebody if they feel like they can't talk to you. It's really hard when you're the spouse in a relationship because of course, you have a tie-in. So in many ways, you're affected by their change. You're affected if they make $30,000 less. You're affected if they're not happy in their position. So it's really nice for them to talk to somebody who's not connected in any way. So helping them find a counselor, either a mental health counselor or a career counselor specifically, to help them find a job that would really be a better fit for them, or just kind of figure out how to become a chameleon or figure out kind of what's going on in the workforce that's not working for them is great. But that's a wonderful question. Thank you. And I think just being supportive and knowing that everybody changes at different rates. I think I am somebody who, if I'm not happy, I'm going to make it happen quickly because I really want to be in that comfortable spot again. But some people, it changes so hard, and it takes you years to kind of be comfortable with that change. So, but thank you for that question. I hope that answered it.
All right, another question that came in. Someone who feels really stuck. How do you start with step one of figuring out what your passion is in hopes of finding that career that fits with it? So you're stuck. What is the first thing you really want to do to kind of get out of that spot?
Sure. I think really knowing yourself well is probably one of the most important things. I often do when you're first feeling stuck, write down all the things that you feel like you do well. So really write down, like if you're really stuck in your job and you're like, I'm just really unhappy. So think about what are the things that I feel like I do really well at my job, or what are the things I really enjoy about my job. So really trying to kind of map out what it is that you really love. And then also mapping out what you really don't like about your job or in your situation that's going on, and trying to see how those are not working for you. So really sometimes just getting it on paper in front of you to kind of be able to look at it and think about it and kind of look at it on a piece of paper versus in your mind really helps in trying to clarify things for you. That's really a great first step. There's also, of course, tons of other resources out there with in regards to if you do decide to talk to somebody professionally about it, personality assessments are really key. When we talked about the sandpaper idea, your personality has a lot to do with how you can withstand certain types of environments. And so knowing your personality and knowing what to avoid and what to gravitate towards is really important. So actually on my website at harrisonburgcareercoaching.com, there's a link to a personality assessment. It's Myers-Briggs, and there's tons of information out there. If I can help with pointing you in the right direction towards information to know more about yourself, that's really key as well.
Great, and I think the idea that mapping it out, because I would think anytime you're stuck, there are probably still a few things that you like about your current situation. And so mapping out what isn't working, and maybe there are some things that are, that way you don't rule those things out in the future. That's
great. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, and I think with every decision you make, as the phrase goes, the grass is isn't always greener. And so sometimes you have to give up certain things in order to go take something else. Like you might have to give up some autonomy, or you might have to give up some money, financial, you know, I was talking about that fork in the road, and I worked with a client who made a really great decision for his family, but that meant that he was going to have to give up financial, you know, money, which is a big part of you know, just people's decisions to move and to change. So.
All right, we've got a couple of questions left. From Matt, we have a question about how do you find consistent balance of family life and professional life? Consistent balance is kind of the thing that is challenging him the most with 4 kids and 2 careers. It sounds like something that you can relate to.
Yes.
How do you find that consistent balance and aren't continually struggling with that?
Oh, it's a great question. Great question. I think one is really knowing your priorities, like really understanding what's really important to you specifically, and also knowing. This kind of goes to, and some of you maybe read this book, that the love languages. How do you receive love? How do you give love? And understanding that, because when you have 4 children, if you have 2 jobs, like you're constantly giving of yourself all the time. And so really trying to be aware of, you know, you needing love and that you giving love to other people and how you can get tapped out very easily that way, and also prioritizing what's most important to you. Really, and think about this, a good analogy for this is that you can't have too many balls in the air. Like if you could be a great juggler and be able to have 6, 7, 8 balls in the air and be like, this is no problem, I got this covered. But if you, at some point something's going to fall, it's going to drop. And even if you can chuck one up really high because you don't have to deal with it for a couple months from now, it's eventually going to come down. So really think about how can I really focus on the 3 things that are most important to me and let the other stuff go. So really prioritizing, and also, you know, everybody's personality is different, but I know for myself personally, I don't do a lot of, when I'm with my kids, I really really try to play and pay attention to my kids, and then find other times to do my work, because the 2 of them together just does not work at all. Responding to email when my 3-year-old's asking me about something, it just gets me frustrated. So being able to kind of prioritize your time as well, so that you have undivided time for work and undivided time for family is super important.
All right, we're going to try to get to all of these questions, but
okay.
Our apologies in advance if we don't get to your question. Feel free to reach out to Kyle directly. I'm sure she'd be happy
yes.
To talk more with you. But from Jess, we had a question come in. If one's interested in making a significant career transition, what are steps you recommend to ensure the new career is a right fit before you invest the time and money? For example, job shadowing. Are there things that can kind of help ease that transition so you're not making a big jump into a bad fit?
Yeah, that's very important. I think 2 things kind of in this way. You need to know yourself really well to know where your strengths are, what gives you energy, and that's why I think the Myers-Briggs is super, super helpful, because there's tons of great information about certain personality types and which jobs are better fit for them, and also know your industry really well. So try to do as much work as possible researching the industry, the job, the work environment, and also the legwork, the money you're going to spend, everything you're going to do to get that new career. Because and also I was going to say, just knowing kind of the ins and outs of that job and knowing what that job entails. And it sounds silly, but YouTube is fantastic for just looking. You can actually Google search jobs and watch what a day in the life of that job is like. Because sometimes we have different ideas in our head about what that job is going to be like, and then we actually get into it. We're like, oh, I didn't realize this is what it was going to be like. So as much information as you can possibly get, and of course, if you can do more in-person interviewing people who have that job, or also job shadowing, of course, too, is super important. So knowing yourself as well as knowing as much as you possibly can about that career path, and then really just believing in it and going with it once you've decided to do it is super important as well.
And we actually will have a webinar in January and February. It's a two-part series about LinkedIn. I think people are hesitant to use LinkedIn to reach out to first or second connections that work at companies and ask about the culture. But I think that is a great way. If there's even a JMU alum at a company that you are interested in working at and you just want to reach out to them and say, hi, I'm just interested in knowing more about Google or, wherever that you work, I think people are pretty open to that.
Definitely.
Right, I'm going to have you do one more question. I know we're about over time, and so you have to drop off, I understand, but we have one more question. It's a quick one from Zach. When you realize you're stuck in a job and want to change but don't have anything quite lined up, how long should you wait it out before leaving?
That's a good question. It's really dependent on the person. I would say some people start to have such emotional effects from jobs where if it's really affecting you, your confidence level, your anxiety, depression, like in general, like if you're just feeling horrible about yourself, then really you have to weigh that with the money and the stability of keeping that job. So it's kind of like a teeter-totter when you think about it. As long as you can stay in that job and just kind of coast and still feel good about who you are, then I would say stick with it until you find something that you like better. But if you are physically being changed to the point where you're not going to do a really good job representing yourself when you're looking for a new job, if you're there still, like that environment is so toxic, then it's really important to think about leaving earlier. And I think employers understand that, and I think if you can articulate that it was not a good fit and you just decided I was going to take my experience and what I learned about myself and then I was going to use it with another position and I had to leave that because of it, I think people understand. You have to do what's best for you.
Awesome. Kyle, thank you so much for being our first webinar presenter today. On behalf of the Alumni Association, I want to thank you for your time. Everyone on the call, thank you so much. We hope you'll join us for our next webinar, Our Brain, Beliefs, and Behaviors, How to Maximize Them for Success at Work and in Life, presented by JMU alumnus Michael O'Brien, class of @89. That's going to be Thursday, December 3rd at noon Eastern Standard Time. If you or someone you know is interested in presenting, please contact me at leechad@jmu.edu. That's LEECHAD@jmu.edu. Thanks again, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Amanda.